everyone, today's video is about organelles. We have discussed in the previous video कि जो organelles होते हैं, they are present in the cell, and the cell are the three types of cells. They were differentiated on the basis of these organelles. So basically we are going to talk about the nucleus first. We have discussed that eukaryotic cells, they do have a nucleus, a very prominent nucleus like plant cell and animal cell. They have DNA in them, and the DNA is basically a double-stranded helical structure. DNA is responsible for making proteins. So basically it is called as the blueprint of your all the proteins that are supposed to be formed by the body. So DNA is present in nucleolus, which is inside the nucleus, and it is surrounded by a nuclear envelope. Okay. Now we are going to talk about that what is the basic function of this DNA in the body. This DNA is having special segments in it which are called as genes, which form the protein. Okay. So next organelle is mitochondria. As you can see that the mitochondria is called as the powerhouse of the cell because it is responsible for producing energy. One glucose molecule gives 36 ATP molecules, and one ATP is broken down to give you 7.3 kilocalories energy. So that much energy is released when any one glucose molecule is broken down. Next, we have a very important organelle that is called as the ribosome. The function of ribosome is to form or synthesize proteins. How do they synthesize proteins? They basically receive the message from the DNA. DNA gives the message to the ribosomes, and then these ribosomes, the message is transmitted by a messenger RNA, and then messenger RNA is translated by the ribosome into the protein. So this process is called as translation, in which the protein is formed from the sequence of a transfer RNA. Okay, after this, after the synthesis of the protein, now the next step that the cell has to perform is to pack this protein. The protein has been formed, but it cannot be transported out of the cell without packing. So for the packing and for the complete packaging of this protein, Golgi apparatus is there. They are responsible for the protein modification and packing them in such a way so that it can be transported out. But sometimes it happens that the proteins which are formed, they are not up to the mark, or sometimes wrong proteins are formed and not required by the body. So there is another organelle called as lysosome. This organelle is responsible for breaking down of those undesirable proteins. Okay, then we'll also discuss the function of the cell membrane, the membrane that is surrounding your cell. It allows the movement of molecules in and out. If you just look at the structure of a cell membrane, you have to say that the cell membrane is a phospholipid bilayer. Phospholipid bilayer means that it is hydrophobic, which does not allow the water to enter very easily. It has a special openings which allow the water molecule to enter. It is also made up of some integral proteins. It is made up of some cholesterol molecules. So there are different types of proteins and carbohydrate structures that make up this cell membrane. Cell membrane, these are the integral proteins that open up when certain thing has to enter in. So sometimes they open up, like for the water molecule, the protein molecule, simple open up, but for some other molecules, against the concentration gradient, when active transport has to be taken place, so the energy is required to open up these gates. The next we have the cell wall, which is only present in the plant cell. The function of the cell wall is to give the cell a proper shape and flexibility. Okay, it also gives it is having the structures of glucose in it, which are having a crisscross pattern, which gives them flexibility, turgidity. And the third thing that is given by this cell wall is the protection. Okay, so cell wall, there is another organelle that is only present in the plants, is the chloroplast. Chloroplasts are basically the sites where the photosynthetic reaction takes place. Chloroplasts are present more in the palisade mesophyll cells and in the spongy mesophyll cells. We have seen here, drawn here, the sites of grana where the photosynthesis takes place. They are responsible for converting the light energy into chemical energy. So this is the complete process. If we just look at the structure of cell membrane, we can see that the cell membrane is specially designed to give the shape. It is also it is semi-permeable and selectively permeable, which allows certain material to pass in. And if we talk about the chloroplast is having a green pigment called as chlorophyll, which makes it able to trap the sunlight. The basic function of nucleus, as we just recall, is... Now we have discussed all the organelles, how they are specialized. The ribosome is the protein factory, you can simply say. You can simply say that the Golgi apparatus is responsible for protein modification, and we can also say that they are responsible for the secretion. And the lysosomes, they have very special enzymes in them which are able to break down the proteins that are not correct. So they have proteases which are particularly for the lysosomes. In our next videos, we'll talk about the enzymes and how the specialized cells are having special functions. Again, this is all about today's video. Thank you for watching.